I've only watched up to this point. I haven't seen anything after this. The video is 15 minutes and 24 seconds long. It may be a big nothing burger, but I'm doing it solely on what I just heard this lady say. But I'm gonna let you hear the intros, like 40 seconds, and then we're gonna skip up to this part because it doesn't make any sense, and it comes off as yet again someone trying their damnness to be balanced in their approach when it doesn't fit. At least not at the very moment. So let's go to the beginning and let you hear the 40-second intro.
Now, I'm going to say it right here and right now. Our society has a big problem.
This your baby. This your baby. And that's what I'm going to say when I see him. I'm going to say, this your baby. Hold on.
Single motherhood is now becoming the new norm.
Something is in the air. And by that, I mean legs. Because why is everybody making a pregnancy announcement this week?
Did you know that the U.S. has the highest rate of children being born in single-parent homes? That means 1 in 3 kids are most likely being raised by a single mother. Now, America, come on. That is a damn shame.
Now, you heard all of that right there, right? Which is, like, listen to the example she gave, which is that one, forget her name, Sexy Red, right? Not sure if she's just a character, but we know that there are some women that actually fit that, so we can leave that in place. You see, just in her intro, right? Now, let's skip ahead to where it just doesn't, where she says, comes to men, and it just doesn't make any sense. All right, I skipped ahead, so we're going to play the thing's about 20 seconds, so let's go.
Don't get me wrong. I blame both parties, okay? I blame women for us giving our bodies to F-boys, okay? Constantly giving our bodies to F-boys that don't give a damn about us. You'll hear me say that a lot. And then also I blame men who continuously fail to reach their potential, whether that's emotionally, economically, scholarly. I mean, they fail to reach their potential, and this is perpetuating this single mother, the rising single motherhood rate.
What the fuck does me getting a degree have to do with you being a single mom? What the fuck? What is that? That doesn't make sense. Listen, child being born out of wedlock or to unwed parents is just that. 2 people fucking around, didn't get married first, baby's here. My check, my degree, my emotional state has to do with any of that. Remember, she used the phrase giving our bodies. Speaking about women. Addressing the whole, this is a free market society because we use market in the internet space. But essentially saying you are free to give your body and time and efforts to whoever you want. You can fuck around with fuck boys, thugs, anything. I mean, let's remember, they routinely say why thugs are more fun or just even better as husbands or baby daddies, all that stuff, right? Routinely tell us, every female comedian has the running joke of broke dick is the best dick, right? Which is also a running joke across social media. They have routinely told us, or even just said in general, that it's kind of better for them to just have their own job in check and to just fuck around with the guys that they like to fuck around with. How many times have those of you who watch Kendra G, and she might have got some dick 2 days ago from a dude that don't fit shit she desires, but now is on the show saying you must do this. How many you have? Hell, I seen a chick the other night, pretty, 30 years old, two kids, 2 baby daddies. And that's about it. I say all that to bring it around to this. There seems to be no gray area in women's logic or reasoning or anything. No nuance. It's either you are just not an acceptable option at all, or the shit. That seems to just be like just the 2 outcomes regardless. Either the guys are unfuckable or the guys you're only going to fuck. Either the guys that are marriage material because they're everything, or the guys that you might as well just fuck around with the dudes you can just have sex with, and then just that. How does you doing that and then allowing yourself to not to get pregnant, go through a said pregnancy, not adopt it, not drop it off at the fire station, my potential? I'm hoping it's explained in a way that makes sense in the rest of this video, because that was straight horseshit. And no, can you ever just say, listen, we don't give a fuck how it turns out. We're going to we're going to choose men, period, solely on pleasure. And we can go from there. Now, I think the reason that is not admitted is because in society, and this is generally speaking for everybody, we don't want to admit that we'd rather have fun until we just blow everything up than to say, you know what, we need to worry about fun at the end, somewhere at the end, after all the work is done, we have everything in place, and then see how much fun we can have. No, we'd rather, again, this is for everybody, we'd rather have all our fun up front, whatever, I forget the word that goes there, unimpeded, and then, hey, if shit works out, it works out. If it don't, that's why, I'm not even getting political, but that's why we are in the state that we are in America. So again, specifically for this subject of single motherhood, you a single mom because you didn't want to vet, you didn't care to vet, so you didn't. You just fucked around, got pregnant. Or in some cases, you quite literally, consciously choose it. You go all this whole time. You know what? I'll go to the extreme to explain it. I've actually done like 2 videos of women who voluntarily are freezing their eggs and then going. Kendra G. She's like 45 now. Frozen eggs over a decade ago, I believe. And I'm pretty sure she's going to fall into that group of, if she doesn't meet the guy soon enough, fuck it. She'll go the Ebony K. Williams route, who literally decided it was better to be a single mother than to have a baby with a guy who's not a millionaire, on her level. It's millionaire or single mom. And yes, that decision making also happens in the hood. We've been over the welfare thing ad nauseum. Yes, there are extremely low level gold diggers. At least that's what I call it. You might call it just living off the system. I call that an extremely low level gold digger. Someone, or in this specific case, a woman who'd rather get as much of that assistance and child support as she possibly can, and just, live life. Let's think about it. That person in that position, I've seen it my entire life. That person in that position, the most work they got to do is find out how and where they gonna move to their new Section 8 crib, or come up with a plan or a scheme to get their way into a one of these little, I don't know, hut houses or whatever it is, extremely cheap, because they done did some shit on the taxes. And now, boom, they got a house now, somehow, while on welfare forever. Please stop bringing up men's potential. Shut up. And also, are any of you who believe this going to start saying that, hey, the government should focus on men getting all the, places in college and all of that, the work things, like all the shit that the government does to get people to enroll women in school and then their best to get them into decent paying jobs, good jobs? Are you going to just give all that to men so they can reach their full potential? Because if not, then you're literally going against the very thing you're complaining about, or playing right into it. So if you're not willing to tell the government to give all the resources to the men, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You'd rather have your own bag and be damned if any of the rest of society functions because that doesn't guarantee you're fun doing it that way. You want to do it your way, where you get your bag first and fuck anything else. If it fails, it fails. Right? All right, let's finally move on.
So the topic of single motherhood and baby mama culture is under scrutiny right now in response to Disney star Sky Jackson announcing that she is pregnant.
1 month, 2 month, 3 month, hit the baby mama when I'm stepping through the door. Yeah, I'm pregnant, but I got an ill flow. Trying to make some money, buy some huggies from the store.
We see her with this big baby bump, and everyone is like, girl, what happened? Like, one, you're so young, you were the face of Disney, and you're also pregnant to some dusty con man.
Two things. Why is it always too young to like marry, have kids, and all that type of shit, but you're never too young to hoe? I don't get that. I literally seen today some chick saying that some 22, 23-year-old girl or something like that. 22, 23, not 19, 22, 23 should focus on going on vacation and being with friends, hoeing around, because, young, youth. That was her point. And then when I said, so she can, don't waste your youth on a man. Okay, so she should waste it on a plane and want to do this and that. And she responds, no, she has to get herself together before getting with a man and babies. But I'm like, well, she can do that. But getting herself together or learn some shit she said, I'm like, you do that in childhood. And then she switches up with, you can't be a doctor as a child, being a smart ass, because, that's exactly what getting your, or developing yourself, or some shit like that, she said. That's exactly what that means. But remember, she prior said, go with your friends on vacation. Shouldn't you be putting all of your efforts into becoming this fucking doctor lady? It's just amazing. But then again, even when y'all do pick, like I said, again, I haven't seen this part of the video. This dude behind her is what you'd rather do. Because that guy, as you can see with his makeup, is, at least in appearance, is the kind of guy who'd rather just have fun. Fuck anything else that requires you to self-discipline, actual work. Nope. The only work he gonna be doing is the fun work that bring in a check, like rapping or slanging or some shit like that. So stop saying that when y'all pass up the dude that work at, Chrysler, and it's not a pretty boy, he's not gonna stop saying that because you don't reach your potential. And first, and I forgot something. Where does that end? Because reach your potential, we know, is indefinite. Indefinite. A chick went on Kendra G's show and overplayed it with the whole potential thing. Dude was a doctor. She said, well, he ain't want to own his own doctor's office, so I couldn't fuck with him. Potential is indefinite. So give me a line to draw. Is it simply you got a job and you bring in that consistent check? It seems like you're going to be there for decades on end? Or does it mean if you get a practice, or whatever, whether it's in the trades, in a corporate world, whatever, do you not have to be, all right, company in the same field? And then multiple companies, super gazillionaire. Jeff Bezos, like, where the fuck does it end?
I don't know. He's straight out of jail. And it was very disheartening to see, just because we had hoped so much more for her. And I have to say, the names that have been under scrutiny, especially around this topic, have been like a Sky Jackson, a Halle Bailey, okay, another face of Disney, our mermaid princess, and also another person like a Keke Palmer.
Halle Bailey and DDG call it quits less than 1 year after welcoming their son.
How is motherhood and fatherhood treating you?
It's wonderful. I love our baby so much.
1 year since Keke and ex-boyfriend Darius Jackson's relationship came crashing down and ended up in court with allegations of domestic violence and a custody battle over now 20-month-old son Leo.
So when we see these women who are announcing their pregnancies, it's happening quite frequently, you do start to wonder, like, what is perpetuating this constant image of single mothers? And why do we think that this?
Well, one thing that I'll put out there that it's been out there for quite a while now, and probably at this point ad nauseum, if I'm using that correctly. You all will, all these women, stop using, God, why? I understand using celebrities because everybody can see them, but shit, do y'all have any other examples? But the woman who got her bag and a baby, you know, who was that chick I said, the bus driver chick, Ebony Williams, she's more likely to get applause than that 20-year-old who goes ahead and marries that guy who may or may not go anywhere above that janitor job he got. Maybe you don't know. They got married. They're having the kids. He might end up, in a different field altogether, or he might still be there at 45, mopping floors and cleaning toilets. You're not going to applaud the chick that got married and said, "I'm going to put structure first," over a chick she ain't even got to be rich. She can literally have her own goddamn janitor job. But it's like, if she's at minimum portraying a well-off image, she'll get an applause. But what do people respond to? That shit. You're not going to applaud the ones that put order first. That's very likely a big component in all of this.
Will not have serious consequences on society, culture, and today's youth that are looking at these notable stars now bearing children technically on their own.
And see, and here's the thing. I don't want to get too hung up on this part because we don't really know how alone they are, right? Because, like, single motherhood, let's go over a couple definitions. Single mom is just like she's unwed. As far as I remember, they just define it as a chick who had a kid and she's not married. A child absent a father or absent father, blah blah blah, is literally just they don't share the same address, but doesn't take into consideration if he might literally live in the house, just not like, I guess, enough to have his address there. Or some shit. Like, it gets goofy the way that works out, but it doesn't talk about involvement, right? Oh, and another thing that I just thought about. So I've seen women in my family who will either not have the father in the life of the children at all, or something went wrong and now he's not in the picture, and a blow up or something like that. Just, he's just not in the picture, but yet literally every family member is like taking turns or taking part of something and pitching in and all that shit. So it's how much are they doing it alone? I don't know, right? I'm pretty sure y'all say that's besides the point. I don't believe so. I think that plays into it because, again, one specific situation I'm thinking about is she was actually married at one point, right? She had a kid first, they got married, and then again, like a blow up or some shit like that happened. I don't really know the exact thing that happened, but he's no longer there. And then everybody around her, siblings, mom, other relatives, whoever was close enough and involved enough, just pitched in more. And people think that that's a good thing. Well, it would be a good thing if it happened rarely, because he died operating a crane. But no, this happens pretty regularly, and it's just a strain on the rest of society. Example, I won't go looking for this video because y'all know I hate editing. My bad. I just do. But I think her name was Sherry Shepherd, or it might have been another lady that looked like her. But she said, and I've seen this quite a few times, why don't you married ladies, loan your husband out to a single mom every now and again. And it's like the goal to even ask that fucking question. Just imagine a dude man, I don't really, all these hard working days and nights, man, I just want a home cooked meal. If y'all dudes could just loan your wife out for a night or two a week. You know what I'm saying? He would get chewed the fuck out. They would tear him a new one out at that. It's insane. He would not be able to live through that. But I've seen a few times where it's just okay to just Why don't y'all loan them out? Like, we need them. I've heard that in real life. Not that per se, but some examples. It gets to the point that where it's just like, meh. So what? There's no dad. Everybody else to do their job, right?
Now, I know the elephant in the room. People get a little bit upset when sometimes I use examples of Black people or Black women in general, and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, there's other single mothers and baby moms." Yes, you are right. But I hate to break it to you. The Black women are really leading the charge in the single motherhood rate. Right now, 47% of single mothers are Black. That is staggering. And Latinos don't fall too far behind, with 25% of Latino women being single mothers. But what kills me is those numbers are very alarming compared to white women who only hold 30.
That's actually also a part of the problem. Instead of just saying if something is bad or not, it's like, will other people do it too? It's so stupid. It's incredibly dumb. I mean, if a dude is a deadbeat dad, can he just show you a picture of a white deadbeat dad and it's cool? But that also does play absolutely a part of it. She said something else that I'm going to rewind about 20 seconds. The video's already long. My bad, but I kind of missed it. So let's go back 20 seconds.
Right now, 47% of single mothers are Black. That is staggering. And Latinos don't.
Something came to my head and I forgot it just that quick. But yeah, it's part that part of that plays into the whole, just y'all don't need him for this. It circulates itself. It makes a cycle. Again, if go back to the reason that I gave you of who do you think would get much more of an applause? The Black, well, we're specifically saying Black women because she brought up that example. Who gets more of an applause? The Black woman that has her kid and says, "I don't need no man," or the Black woman who gets married to regular Joe Schmo and has her kids that way? And the reason I use those two as an example is because obviously, yes, if you marry a guy and he's a lawyer, doctor, ball player, whatever the fuck, yes, y'all would applaud that because that's the redeeming thing about family, right? Is somebody got a bag, which also is a plague in the Black community. So
fall too far behind, only hold 13% of single motherhood. Now, I don't know about you, but that to me is a dead ringer that there is something wrong with our culture. And when I say our, I mean like Black culture, right? And Hispanics, y'all might want to look at yourselves and say something's wrong with your culture too. Because why do we have such an alarming, a higher rate of single mothers than our white counterparts? And I'm not trying to make this a race issue. These are just these statistics and facts about it. And I say this all to say that, unfortunately, the minority groups are leading the charge in single motherhood.
Well, one thing a few things to take into consideration. One, I heard somebody mention that maybe that a lot of these marriages are with like extreme, like way older people, like boomers and shit. I don't know. Maybe look that up. Also, when you're comparing yourself to white women, I immediately think of that video that went viral where like all the white women were in college, but also had like an engagement or wedding ring on their hand. So you have to ask, is it how true is it that they have their marriage and children at a younger age as opposed to so many of you who are either having your kids at a younger age, but like just out of fun and you're not married, versus how many believe in the wait until you don't need no man, which would be your husband/kid's father, and then just rush to have one at like 40, and then like it's that type of situation, right? Which I've seen quite a few. I've also seen, in person in my life. That can heavily contribute to it. I don't know the numbers, but if it's true what they put out there, that would be a big dealing and explaining why you have this disparity.
And that worries me.
I grew up in a single parent household with my mom, and I had 7 other siblings. My mom was on government.
And another thing, her going right into this whole spiel is another thing. Society, this affects all of society, but we're going to focus on black people. Men, the worst of men being the example for all of us, stretched over all of us. Look at any social media or podcast or anything to see that. Then on the flip side, the best of women being the example for all of women. Like, look at the same thing. And to give you a couple of examples. The things that are said about women, starting all these businesses and getting all these degrees and out earning men and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how many broke hoes I see everywhere, whether if it's some chick that I'm fucking around with or some women I actually work with or just like in general. You can see a struggling ass chick at the supermarket hoping somebody helps. Like, that gets ignored. Versus on the other side, which is, the worst of the worst. Men are just going to, drain you and beat you and use you for sex. And then somehow this keeps getting thrown out there. Dump you for a chick that's half your age and like hot or whatever. Just like, who the fuck is this guy y'all keep using as an example where he could just dump his wife and get a chick who's in her 20s when he's old himself? Who is this guy y'all keep talking about? You mean the one dude out of like a million? Really? That's the example. Like, that's the example for all men. We ain't nothing but in this video, in the comment sections, we're nothing but dusties. But when it's convenient, we're very likely to just leave a chick, and, with a bunch of kids, and then go get some childless, healthy chick who's young and pretty. How? I'm a fat, ugly dusty. How the fuck can I even pull this off? But that's the image that gets put out there ever so conveniently, which makes women, younger women, and they grow up and they have that thought in their head. And they're just like, this dude I'm voluntarily fucking around with ain't gonna do me no good. So if I get pregnant, it really doesn't matter. I can be by myself. That's all he gonna do is drain me anyway. Maybe stop lying to them, and you improve the odds of not being single moms.
Assistance for a while to be able to help feed us and things.
This is generational poverty.
People are often born into poverty, and it's been poverty that their mother, their grandmother, etc. has experienced.
For a family of 4, it's defined as making less than $26,000 a year. More than 38 million Americans live in poverty. For Black Americans, it's 1 in every 5, higher than Latinos, Asian Americans, and more than double the rate of white Americans.
Blacks in his...
So I've told this story before, but it's about the friend I had that she said she was proud because her friend's mom was had got approved for like Section 8, which is government housing, and they pay like 90% of your rent. And it does things like that, gimmies, welfare programs. They start to get seen as a win, right? Like, you're struggling. All your money's going to rent and food, and you ain't got nothing else, and you're barely hanging on. And got approved for Section 8, and now got a little bit more money to spend. It's seen as a win. Like, literally, Section 8, I'm not sure if it's now, but they used to call it a lottery system, which they would go in and pick people on the waiting list. The hood sees it, however long it's been out, I think 60 years they said now, sees it as a win. Got food stamps. You see it as a win when you grow up in poverty. Housing, you see it as a win. Everything that gets handed to you, you start to see it as a win. And because, yes, graduating from trade school or college is also seen as a win, which one is right there? Especially when the whole graduate thing, college is what's pushed, not anything else. Because, if you don't aim high, why do we aim so low? Like, well, when you're low, you got to start climbing. You can't just you can't put a jetpack on. I get a side tour real quick. It amazes me that we'll from the same people that go, us black people, we're at the bottom. Why are we always at the bottom? At the bottom, at the bottom. We aim so low, we're at the bottom. It's like, well, if we're at the bottom, it kind of will behoove us to build onto things and understand that most of us, by far most of us, aren't going to reach this peak as we are reaching for in one generation. You're going to have to burden a lot of that workload and hand it to the next generation in hopes that they handle it properly, that a generation or even two from them will be like in a much better competitive situation. But no, we're at the bottom, so all of us must graduate from college with doctorates and PhDs because that's how any system works. All right.
Hispanics need to take this seriously because we are the ones who are always talking about how we have economic disparities and that sometimes we have an unfair start in a white society. Well, how do you think you're going to get a good start when you're already starting off on a wrong foot by having kids in a single parent home? Because the numbers don't lie. Children born in a single parent home most likely will have economic disparities compared to children born in two-parent homes. So the math is not mathing when we're crying about having economic hardships at a disparaging rate compared to white people in America, but yet we are perpetuating the economic hardship for ourselves.
I know she cooking right now. At least I think so. I know she cooking. But it seems that every time this is brought up on the other hand, like I've actually seen people say, like when they bring up the difference between single parent households and two parent households, I've literally seen people go, that study was done wrong. I actually don't say that. And like, there's really no, like they really try to say there's no difference. Like, because they take that as a diss when you bring it up. They take it as a diss to women when really you bring it up because like they get custody like by far most of the time. But because it comes off as a diss to women, immediately it's like the first time I ever seen this example was from a dude who said, yeah, it doesn't matter. They did the research. Like, as long as you pay your child support, the child comes out just as well. It's like, what the fuck is that? I know that's a bogus study. But it's a study that they put out there, that they ride on. It's you gotta go look at the threads and the clips. They are heavy on that. What it doesn't matter if she's somebody reviewed a video. A chick made I don't know. She was standing alone, like much like her, but like in like less of a setting. So I know she doesn't do podcasting for a living. But she herself said, I was looking like it can't be that I must be tied to a man to have a kid. Like real talk, she was saying shit like this in that video. So I looked up, all these studies and blah blah blah, and I found out that it actually says no. The father doesn't have to be there. And it'll turn out just well. And it's like, the belief is the better off the mother is financially, which is why I also mentioned the child support. Why it must be paid, the better off the child. So it's like, in response to that, I say, if that's true, you quite literally let every man off the hook for fatherly duties. Because if you're telling me all that matters is if I pay my child support, okay. Just now, all I gotta do is calculate a budget. Okay, what's my child support gonna be? Damn, that is all right. Now, what I got left? And how does child support work if I have another kid? Oh, we good. Hey, I can have as many as I want. I can afford it now. That's what you only turn single. You don't only make single motherhood a more likely thing. You've also help turn fatherhood into just a check, which is kind of weird because anytime a dude says, if I have a family, as long as I'm making money, that should be a good thing, that's shunned. So if I'm in the house, no, can't just be a check. If I'm outside of the house, absolutely, you can't just be a check. What? Is that not a hell of a contradiction? I know the context kind of changes. It's not really. You're still saying in one instance, I can't just be a check. as long as I don't live in a house. So you now can't, and remember, you can't tell me that wanting to be just a check is a bad thing when you have people like Ebony K. Williams out there. You cannot say if I just want to be a check and not involved that is a bad thing now. Because you've normalized women freezing their eggs and then going to get artificially inseminated if they can afford to do so. You cannot blame any man or fault him or talk about him negatively if he says, I just want to be a check. Because you've made it to where that is an okay thing to seek out. Let's continue.
Like, seriously, why are we giving our families a disadvantage? That disadvantage is knowingly putting your child in a single parent home, whether that be with a mother or father. And with Black women at 47%, that shows a huge cultural break between Black men and Black women. And we're putting our homes and children at a disadvantage by doing that.
Okay, so what I've seen on behalf of Black men in this particular, subject is, again, just like I said that dudes did when I first heard that study, they're kind of taking, and if you want to put us at fault for this, sure, they're kind of taking the stance of, it seems like they just don't want to be seen as bashing Black women, so therefore they back the whole she doesn't need you there, which is kind of weird and counterproductive to the conversation, because it's like, why does she need you to make this point right now? The not man thing is kind of weird because it always seems to come back around with, you niggas don't do enough. It's like, you don't need us to. It's this is why I really hate the fact that I see this stuff time and time again. And no matter what you click on Instagram, it brings you right back to this conversation. I can click a picture of my favorite motorcycle and go, yep, I'm riding it. I'm getting it next spring. Next spring, I'm getting it and I'm riding, putting 10,000 miles in the summer. Next slide, this shit. And it's always something that sounds stupid, so I can't help but to read it. Look, to go over it again, mainly because it's annoying. I don't lost the thought. Fuck it.
So we can't sit up here and blame the man, for all of our struggles. Well, we can control the children we reproduce and how we reproduce them and what world we produce them in. So in a previous video that I did, and I was talking about baby mama culture as well, I had people in the comments who were a little offended that I was calling certain women baby mamas. And, they were like, my friend has 3 kids and divorced, and I would never call her a baby mama. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that, all right? So my mom too, she had 2 kids, ended up divorcing. I don't sit and call her a baby mama. I'm not talking about that. And we are very clear that there is a triad of reasons of why women end up in single motherhood, okay? That could be the death of a spouse, or one of the reasons is divorce, okay? Yes, people get married, have families, and the relationship doesn't work out, and you end up in a divorce, and now you are a single mother. That happens all too often, and the divorce rates are are way higher than they used to be in past decades. So I'm very
So I was trying to let her finish her point, but on that note, this is another thing. When people see divorce as just like, oh, we're uncomfortable, so let's get a divorce. Or we are better off apart somehow, let's get a divorce. The idea that managing 2 households will be easier than managing one, and how common it is, and look at how many videos where women have went viral for, it was Tuesday, and I don't know who the fuck that is. Those scam artists really be talking to you like they're your friend from 10 years ago, and then you're like, what the fuck? And then they'll start carrying on the conversation with you. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for those of you who come across that. They're very sneaky. Anyway, when so many women have went viral making videos like, I was just, no longer feeling it. And, like, we kind of reached our point where we grew apart. Is the most bullshit thing you can say while you got a divorce. Grew apart. Like, did you not care? Because you don't, excuse me. Even if, like, hypothetically, take, like, a literal image of growing apart or a literal concept of growing apart, that takes time. That very thing takes time. You don't just one morning wake up, oh, we're two vines on the opposite ends of the jungle. I guess it's the day. This is the day. No. You gradually grow apart, do nothing about it, then go, guess time to go. And you know what and I'm pretty sure other dudes have realized? You never hear chicks say this, or even a dude say this, and the chick was in a bad position, ended up in a bad position. You never see it. Ever. No chick gets divorced, and a dude ends up hella nice, she ends up in a dump, and then just like, oh, we grew apart. Nope. That's when he's trying to, dump his family and leave it, and all the negative shit comes out. Never, ever, ever does a woman say they grew apart and she's in a bad position. Ever. So, you kind of set a situation up to where, yes, even dudes who would have, like, preferred intact family, now they're signing up for that goofy shit, which is stupid. Stupid. That's why now, when I approach the idea of anything romantically with a woman, and it's beyond like friends with benefit, I get the most serious shit out up front, and they think I'm crazy, which is fine, and then that's it. I don't do the whole let's take 6 months to a year to end up asking each other some goofy shit about what we are. Nope. You're not gonna. If you get me with the we grew apart, it's gonna be very, very provable that you was on some bullshit, not me. But that's well off of the topic that we're discussing right now. So let's go ahead and move on.
I'm very sensitive and aware of that fact, but I'm not talking about those people. I'm more so talking about the glamorization that we see in pop culture and social media, like a Kylie Jenner, who I will get into in a second, and a Kiki Palmer, and a Sky Jackson, and a Halle Bailey, which is like, y'all just think this is cool to be displaying, especially to a young fans or to a younger generation in society. Yes. And I say that because you are a celebrity. You are a known public figure. Your actions are looked at closely and scrutinized. So people are like, why y'all act like y'all gonna have them kids? Why do you judge them so hard? No one's judging them or acting like I'm gonna raise their kids. I'm just saying, listen, you chose to be in the limelight. So yeah, you will be under fire for some of your actions that you do. One of those actions are that we are seeing that it is just becoming normal for these women to have kids outside of marriage and with no commitment and just having these babies on their goddamn own. And my problem is that it is being glamorized in media. You have a Sexy Red who made a song about being a baby mama. It's in our music. It's in rap music. It's in R&B music.
He wanna give me a baby. I want him to give me Mercedes.
Scott, what's her name? Summer Walker. Literally, her last 2 albums was about being a baby mama. Jesus. And we wonder why black women have the highest baby motherhood rate because, I don't know, one of our favorite R&B singers sits and talks about...
Oh, okay, lady. Shit, you can talk. Listen, simple explanation is easier. Now, when I say easier, no, I don't mean battling with some baby daddy is easier or having 5 kids and struggling is easier. No, what I mean by easier is she gets to pretty much just, if she want to leave him. Or if she want to lead a nigga, she can lead a nigga. Or if she want to, drop the kids off and do this, she just do that. It's a society when it comes to relationships. Essentially what our goal is now is to be as single as possible while in a relationship, or as single as possible while tied to someone who has some sort of an obligation to us. That's what our goal is now. It's such a dishonest concept and approach to it, but that's where we are. We're trying to get the most out of the other person and give them the least. That's where we are in society now. And I don't think we're ever going to go back. I think the only way we go back to honest companionship, like, shit has to hit the fan. And even then, to think about it, I don't think it was ever honest. Like, when I hear when women talk about, men used to have to be likable. Now that they have to be likable, they're struggling with women and blah blah blah. And it's like, I had to ask the question a couple weeks ago. Like, okay, now that I'm sitting here picturing this concept, were women likable? Were they? Because if all you were doing was surviving, how do we know how likable you were? How do we know that the typical human being is just not a likable thing at all? Because you can't sell me on she was literally just pretending or doing what she had to do for survival, which was, I guess, just placate to his demands or whatever you want to call it. That's not likable. That's you being fucking owned. That's not likable. Don't tell me you were owned and then I was likable. No, you weren't. You were owned. You had no choice. That's not being likable. And now that the dynamics have shifted or changed, now the behavior that we are seeing a lot of guys, we're calling it unlikable. So can we please stop doing this? Now, I forgot where I started and why I went that way. So I guess I'm maybe off a bit, but you get my point. All right. Where was I? What did she say?
It's about being a baby mama. Jesus. And we wonder why black women have the highest baby motherhood rate because, I don't know, one of our favorite R&B.
Oh, yeah, because it's easier. And I explained it. Moving on.
Singers sits and talks about, you didn't pick up your kids. I mean, like, come on.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
You're young.
So what that mean? Pop this.
Pop it. Pop it severely. Just wrap it up.
Remember, a lot I've seen it on the internet, I've seen it in person. A lot of older women tell younger women they need to do shit like that, pop that pussy or twerk or, do this and that while they're young. So you're going to increase the likelihood that they don't get married before they have children. They increase that likelihood. I don't have any numbers, and I know people found on that, but I mean, look at the habits.
Right.
Because, with popping it comes gifts, money, and inspiration for new music.
Yeah.
And maybe, if you're feeling frisky, a bundle of joy.
Oh.
So you pop it if you want to.
We have the Shade Room, who always highlights all of the IG girls who had a baby by some athlete or some rapper, like a Ari Fletcher and Jada Wada, and all of their sisters having their babies and kids and living the limelife, having their bust down weaves and riding Ranges and Ferraris and iced out wrists and living their best life, living this glamorous, beautiful life, and then sometimes put the kid in the camera and then talk about how they got gifted a really expensive gift or a new bag from some guy that they're dating. So yeah, it looks really glamorous to go get pregnant by a rich dude, even if they're not committed to you, even if they're cheating on you. All right, our culture has made that acceptable. It has made it normal. It's made it glamorous. Single mothers often are usually struggling, okay? Sometimes they are barely scraping by. They have to deal with...
Wow. Okay. Well, okay. Oh, fucking K. You finally hear a chick admit this shit. And not pretending like they're all rich. Fascinating. Rewind that.
Single mothers often are usually struggling, okay? Sometimes they are barely scraping by. They have to deal with juggling work and childcare simultaneously, which often puts an extreme burden on the mother, on her mental health, leading to depression, anxiety. It's taking her out of the home because she has to go work and provide for her and her children on her own. And her being out of the home will lead to issues with the children in the home. Children are often left behind because their mom has to go out and work or has other priorities now because there's not another parent in the home. These children often have low self-esteem. They feel abandoned because their mom or their parent is not in the home. That will lead to behavioral issues in school. They go under the radar, and they also are more likely to engage in criminal activity. These are just the facts. These are these statistics of single mothers and the children that they raise compared to women who raise their children in a two-parent household.
What are the differences in outcomes for kids growing up in a single parent versus a two-parent household?
If a kid only lives in a household with, a one parent or an unmarried mother, which is mostly the case, there's their chance of living in poverty are 5 times higher. It's not surprising that kids from married parent households live in households with more income, okay? Income is a big part of the reason why these kids do better. Why? Because their parents can spend more on housing in better neighborhoods. They get access to better schools. We see that, these parents spend more on their kids and enriching activities and educational activities. They basically have more opportunities.
So here's what that often gets spent into. Need a rich nigga. like they hear that, and then you get the Kendra G show, which is must make $250,000 because 100,000 isn't a lot. So therefore, it takes a lot to raise his kids. So you got to have this. And then when you don't meet that threshold, well, just fuck it. Have a baby by the nigga you fucking with right now. That don't make shit. That's that. And I was gonna say something else to what she said. You can reach this with simply, getting married younger than what we do now and having a plan. No, hypothetically, not to go too young because, you guys will shit your pants. But let's just say get married at 23, 24 years old. And you go on you have a plan, right? You find the cheapest house you can get, at least for now. If not, not shack up, but like roommate with another couple or whoever. Do that for however long you can, 2-3 years. Save up some bread. Now you have down payment. The mortgage is really low. Get cheap housing. When I say cheap housing, I mean the idea that so many people, you can only find $500,000 home. Bullshit. Yes, I know inflation is here. All that means is that $150,000 house that's like 900 square feet. Deal with it. That's your house. And now, because either you're going to, take the hit and just let the mom stay home, I guess have that convenience. Or, when I say not her, like the whole family convenience. Or you're going to both still work, maybe full-time, maybe she works part-time. And now you have that whole more money to spend on shit, right? And I would really like to know how they got that study, because like people who are in the hood and broke and all that, they can still do activities, they just don't pay for it, right? Like, I don't know, hypothetically, they might go do instruments shit in a church, or they might go play sports at school or some shit like that. So I really would like to know how they came to this study and how it compares to different things that they might still do in poverty but not have the money to like do extra shit.
Another thing, single mothers actually heavily rely on government assistance, needing free childcare or SNAP benefits, which can leave a burden on taxpayers. So this leads a lot to argue that single motherhood is not just a social problem, but an economic one. And that is why I'm saying America really needs to look closely at this and start wheeling this back from our culture, as from being a norm in our culture.
Translation, she just said you hoes is anchors.
culture, because the financial strain on communities and the economy as a whole is undeniable. So in conclusion, single motherhood is a very complex situation. I really, my concern are that Blacks and Latinos are holding first and second place for this. And I really want our communities to really take a step back and to see, like, okay, what is causing this? Why aren't our men thriving to provide financially and emotionally for our families?
Oh my God. Again. Look, and she said thriving. So yet again, we're at a place in which if it's not at this peak level, then it might as well not be at all. I'm going to say this one more time, and then again and again if I have to. More of you, meaning women, could have that guy that was the sole provider if we all were willing to make these particular sacrifices. How many are willing to live at home until you get married? How many of you are willing to stop the fun altogether until you get these things on track and then go back to having fun? Maybe. How many of you are willing to sacrifice anything like that? Until then, I don't want to hear shit about you guys aren't trying to provide for us. Shut up. Because providing doesn't look like this shit on social media all the time. When you're ready to sacrifice some shit in general, especially the whole fun thing, then have this conversation. Till then, stop saying that we just don't want to provide. Stop it. Fucking stop. Way too many dudes be on in real life and on these apps putting on capes left and right, saying how every dude, even if he got to stay in a car, his kids, his baby mama should be living good and blah. Like I don't want to hear it anymore. You don't get to pretend like those men don't exist and then still expect fair play. Stop it. Fucking stop.
Why aren't our women taking who they're giving their body to seriously, or taking seriously on how to plan to not be pregnant, maybe some family planning? What are the economic disadvantages or the educational disadvantages on what is making our communities the face of single motherhood and baby mama culture? That is definitely worrisome. But all in all, I think at all races across the board, our entire society as Americans, we should be worried that we are really leaning away from traditional family values and leaning more towards, higher divorce or really just not getting married altogether, because it is creating an upside down dynamic in the home, and which will have challenges for children, which ultimately will have challenges for society. So guys, please
listen to that conflicting logic there at the end. Once more marriages, less baby mama culture, but also the whole providing part. Not willing to go without, not willing to not have like I keep saying, fun, all that type of shit. Basic life not good enough. Prefers trips and bags over children, over families, intact families. You defeat your own desire for that accomplishment there. People, this point in time, like the 1950s or whatever the hell it was, where one plant job could provide not only the needs, but also the wants for the wife, the kids, the husband, and the dog, that is a blip in time. That is not the norm. It's not the fucking norm. It's why when people are single and living good, and then when they want to go and get into a relationship, they got to go, damn, I got to go without this. Damn, I got to go. Because the idea that you can just provide all of this shit for all the people in the house, including all this fun shit, it is not the norm. Go back as far as you possibly can and then bring it on up. You will see that the 1950s is a fucking bubble in time. I don't know exactly what they did. I don't know if it had anything to do with the whole tax thing that they came up with or whatever it was. It was a bubble. It is not the norm. Trying to go back to that, you're only going to just keep doing this circular problem that keeps coming up. It's not the norm. It's not. It's not normal that one income provides family vacations, all the sports shit that the kids want to do, all the band shit, all these luxury clothes and cell phones and a TV in every room and luxury cars. Not just one family car for, the parents. And then their kids also get... That's not the fucking norm, people. It's not. Especially as she said somewhere in this video where it seems like this lifestyle we keep living, it keeps taking you back to the front. Back to the early start. Keep starting with essentially nothing but government handouts, government programs. One last time and then I'm out. If you're not willing to go without fun, at least for a little while, you're not serious about fixing these problems. Be right, not positive. I'm out.